if that was women, this would be on the news every bloody night. Why does no one give a shit about these men?
No, you're not all good. You're literally just drowning it so you can't feel it for that moment.
If someone wants to sit me down, look me in the eyes and ask me how I'm feeling, I'm fucking gone. I'm out.
The byproduct of solving all of those things is better fathers, better partners. You're tuned into the Better Bloke podcast. I'm Matty.
And I'm Rob.
We're just a couple of average blokes who started a charity with one simple mission: to fuck off suicide as the leading cause of death for Aussie men our own age.
We talk shit, ask the big questions, and chat with guests that have been through the ringer and have come out the other side with a story that's worth hearing.
Some episodes will hit you in the feels, some will fire you up, and others will just give you a laugh and remind you you're not the only one out there winging it.
We also run events, connect with the pros, and build communities, all with one goal: build better blokes without all that fluff.
All right, let's get stuck in.
We are joined today on the couches by someone who's pretty special in the men's work that she does. Probably because deep down, I think she's an undercover bloke.
Undercover bloke, how's that?
I have been accused of that before, yes.
Oh.
More than once.
More than once.
Yeah. I think it's just so weird because the way that you resonate with blokes and talk about the shit that you talk about, no one's used to hearing that from a woman.
No, possibly not. But I guess I'm maybe a bit of a shit stirrer because I just say what I think, and that's not always a good thing. But yes, I have been accused of being a bloke in a positive and negative way, as a compliment and not as a compliment. But yeah, I don't know. I've spent my whole life working with men, and I'm just calling it as I see it.
Well, we should say who it is that we have. We have Mary from Are You Bogged Mate? So that was probably a pretty shit intro on my behalf because I didn't actually say who it was. So this is why I don't do intros.
For the people listening, your charity works a lot with rural and country blokes.
Yep.
Do you want to give us a bit of an overview of what it is that you do?
So Are You Bogged Mate is a rural men's mental health charity, and we've been running for 7 years now, I think it is. Very small. We're still very small, but we're very boots on the ground. And the whole thing started by accident because I didn't actually mean to start a mental health thing. So I guess over the years I've lost a lot of men to suicide in my life. When I was about 18 or 19, I lost my best mate. And over the years, I think I've lost about 11 men, mates or, in my sort of circle throughout life. But it was back in December 2017 when we lost two guys in my region where I live and work to suicide. And that was sort of two blokes within 3 weeks. And they were quite well known in that region. And that I knew them, but they certainly weren't close mates of mine. But it put me on a bit of a path to, I guess, learn more about it because the work that I was doing was taking me all around the country throughout the broadacre farming areas, talking mainly to men. And I just thought, this is what's going on here. I don't understand why these two blokes who were, so well known and on the outside had it all going on, why they would do this. And so I started to do some research and read all this information that was written by people with qualifications in mental health, because let's be clear, I have none. All of my qualifications are in science and agriculture. And everything I read, I thought, this is just bullshit. They don't even understand men, and they sure as shit can't communicate with them. So in my typical style, I just sat down and wrote an opinion piece, wrote an article and told people what I think. But in that article, I used the analogy that I thought mental health and depression was a bit like getting bogged. And that really resonated with country people because most of the time we can get ourselves through those sticky patches on the road or in life. But when we get properly bogged, when we get that machine, that Toyota, whatever, down to the running boards, we have to get somebody else to help us with it. We can't get it out by ourselves. But, that just made so much sense. I guess that practical analogy made a lot of sense to men all over the world, actually. But I've never seen anyone bog a machine and then just get out and say, fuck it. Can I say fuck it on this podcast?
You can say fuck it. You can say whatever you want, Mary.
Fuck it. It's too hard. I'm going to set fire to it. So we don't just burn the machine when it's bogged. We always take the time and trouble to get it out. And so that's all it was, just an opinion piece, me getting a bit of shit off my liver put it out there to the world, and it just blew up. And then the workshops that I was doing in ag spraying, people would start asking me to, come and do a workshop, but at the end of it start talking, can you do 5 minutes on getting bogged? And then people started trying to give me money, and people started asking me to come to field days to just speak about being bogged. It's like my other job's pretty niche, pretty, I guess, weird job, because there's probably only about 3 other people in the country with my skill set in that ag spraying and spray dress stuff. But this just seemed to make so much more sense to them. And next minute, I'm travelling around the country doing this, and it's become my full-time job, and more than my full-time job. See the bags under my eyes? That's lack of sleep. And yeah, so it's been going for 7 years now. And I guess one of the aims that I've always had with it is not only the integrity of what we do, but it's to get to those places where other mental health organisations, they've never even heard of these places, let alone showed up to. So I will go to anywhere in the country. It doesn't matter how remote or how isolated it is, and out into the middle of the desert. I don't care where it is. I will go there. And that's really important to me, I guess, to get to those places and to relate to the people, and the country women certainly get it as well. There's lots of women that get a lot out of what I say, and I even do talks for women. And it's a similar, pretty much the same sort of talk, but a little bit more about understanding men and communicating with men. So this is what I do now. It's it takes up a lot of time, but it is definitely the most rewarding thing that I've ever done. Yeah.
When you started digging into the problem, and you sort of uncovered that there was problems with, I guess, the way the academics are talking to people, did you also notice the problem itself was deeper than you had thought? You'd seen it with people around you, but there is an issue with country folk and, the rates at which they are.
Yeah, and I guess that was the thing that really hit me when I started to do some research into suicide. And, we often hear the numbers, blah, blah, but when I dug into it, that I had no idea that more than 75% of suicides were male. I had no idea that men in rural areas are twice as likely to take their life as men in metropolitan areas. I had no idea that men in rural areas are 5 times more likely to take their life than women in metropolitan areas, that we lose a farmer every 10 days, that in the tradies and the resource workers, so we lose a bloke every second day. And that is just horrific. And so when I sort of found those stats, I was just blown away. And why are we not hearing about this? Why these numbers are horrific. And we will often hear about suicide on the news and stuff like that. But this is a bloke problem. This is 75% or 76% it was. It's come back a little bit. But if that was women, this would be on the news every bloody night. Why does no one give a shit about these men? And that just blew my mind, that it was such a stark contrast. And then I was like, well, why is it so stark? What is going on? And then, there's a suite of issues out there. I could really get on my soapbox about those. But
Do it.
But the thing is that this one-size-fits-all approach, that it's the same approach, whether they're men or women or whatever they want to be, but that's not going to work. And it also astounds me that the amount of funding allocated to male suicide is very, very small compared to the size of the problem. And I don't want, to take money away from other groups that need this, but it's a disproportionate amount that is allocated to other demographics when men are completely forgotten in this area. And that shits me.
Yeah.
And when things shit me, I do something about it.
Get after it. I've raised this comparison before, and like you said, you don't want to compare issues.
No,
but
it's not a competition.
No, and it's not even a men-women thing. I like to showcase deaths on the road. So we see about 1,100 a year, and these are accidents.
Yep.
Suicide's not an accident, right? And based on that is a lot of people.
Yes.
But, they use that as justification for all the fines to keep us to stop speeding, all the billboards they do, all the ads on the network, that number is less than half of the people, the men and women, we're losing to suicide.
Yep. So the suicide is
So
nearly 3 times the road toll.
Yeah, the
Yep.
reaction to it. Yeah, it is 3 times. 3,400, I think it was last I checked.
Lucky or pretty, hey? No good at math.
I just didn't want to say fake statistics, right? But yeah, it does seem like a disproportionate amount of resources given to, I guess, the cause. I don't know if that's because it's an uncomfortable thing. They don't want to be plastering those sort of ads all over, the side of the highways and whatnot. But
It is a very confronting thing, though, where I guess everyone can somewhat put it to the back of their mind with the whole sort of suicide statistics.
Until it happens in their family or their group of friends.
100%.
Yep.
And even then, though, like, I know that we sort of work in the space as you do. A lot of the people that I speak to, everyone that I've spoken to has been affected by it in some way.
Everybody.
Like,
Everyone,
whether it's
everyone
directly
knows
or
someone.
it's a ripple effect of like a friend of a friend or something.
Exactly.
So they've seen, what happens to their mate when they've lost someone that they love like that.
Yeah.
So everyone's affected by it. And I think it has more of a ripple effect than the road toll itself. But it's just a lot easier to sort of go, let's sweep this.
And the other thing is, putting fines on people for road tolls raises revenue. Saving blokes' lives doesn't raise revenue so directly as speeding fines and, speed cameras and bullshit like that. So, yeah, I guess it's a very different problem, so it needs a different approach. And I've never been good at following the rules, so that's why I do things differently. And I've had, major mental health organisations and groups go, oh, we don't want to work with her because she doesn't follow the rules, she doesn't follow the book.
That's,
You know what?
That
Your
speaks
fucking
to
book,
us, Mary.
your fucking book doesn't work, so I'm writing my own. So that's what I've done. I'll kick doors, I'll kick cans. No, what they're doing doesn't work. It's obvious in the numbers, and I don't understand why there's not more noise made about this. So
we've had a lot of discussions with some people that have got fairly significant sized charities that work in the men's space, and they've actually questioned me. They're like, "Hey, is it working? Because this isn't anything that we would think to do." And I'm like, I can show you a whole bunch of fucking messages from the loved ones of those people that it's working for.
And I can too.
Yeah.
And we get, most of the emails we get through our website are from women. And that would be when they're concerned about their son, their husband, their brother, things like that. And I have been randomly walking along the street and a woman has just come up to me and just hugged the shit out of me and said, "You saved my brother." Like, it's just, it's mind blowing that the women get it, that there's something needs to be done. Well, I'm going to say not all women get it, but there are a lot who do understand that. And I find the further you get from the city, the better, I'm going to say it, the better the women are, because they understand what these blokes are going through and they see it. And so I have a lot of women, particularly in country areas, who just froth what I do. Yeah. Even though I upset a few people on the way, but I don't care.
It doesn't matter who you upset. It's all about doing what works.
Yeah.
yeah, it's very similar to our approach. It's backed by research. We know this works and we've seen it firsthand. So we don't really care about the people saying that maybe it's not going to work. Like Rob, I've spoken to guys on the boards of some of the biggest charities and they've actually said, we like what you do. We couldn't touch that because we got a board, we got donors, we got this, we got that. So they're almost hamstrung with what they can and can't do.
That's exactly right. We had a very big corporation that was going to come on board as a sponsor once it got and I was talking like to the big boss of this company, but it had to go through some channels. Bang, hit a feminist. We were blocked out. No, you're just about men. I was like, wow.
We haven't.
Do you know what? If it was just about, if it was just about women, it would have gone straight through. There would have been no problem. I don't understand this. If this was about disadvantaged kids, there wouldn't be a problem. I don't understand why there's suddenly all these alarm bells. It's only men. Like,
Yeah.
That's just ridiculous. And even some of the talks that I do, because most of the talks I do are to mixed groups. So there's anyone can come along. But I do have some that are just for men. And I'm pretty bloody firm about that because it changes the dynamic in the room. And they're usually women organising that. Like, oh, but we have to come and MC it. Or we have to come and cook the barbecue. No, you don't. They're men. It's fire. They'll be fine. You don't have to MC it. I'll do it. I can introduce myself. It's not a drama. Get out. And it changes the dynamic when you have those women in the room. And likewise, when I do the talks for just women, it is a much different dynamic when I just have women in the room because they are much more comfortable to ask questions about their partner, their son, their brother, when there's no other blokes in the room. But you put women in that room and these blokes won't ask questions. And I've proven it time and time again. So I'm pretty firm on, nope, if this is a blokes only event, but yet we still get women ring up and get quite abusive or send emails and say, well, why can't I come? What's this secret men stuff? I said, no, there's a ladies one tomorrow. You're most welcome to come to that. This is for just men. Funnily enough, we've never, ever, ever had a bloke ring up and say, why can't I go to that ladies event? It's like,
What if I identify as a lady? Can I?
You can go.
we're probably not going down that far.
Okay.
You keep the shit out. Keep
All right.
that.
All right.
He's just trying to go viral.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the spaces for men and women make total sense. What I think they're missing is that suicide prevention in men specifically isn't really just about the suicide. It's about the issues that lead them there. So we're talking depression, anxiety, substance abuse, all those things we need to get under control to stop the end result.
Mm-hmm.
The byproduct of solving all of those things is better fathers, better partners. You're going to directly impact TV.
Absolutely.
You're going to directly impact a lot of things that impact women by creating better mental health in men.
Yeah.
So, like the focus is on men, but the byproduct, the result is a better
healthier
situation
for your men.
for women, children, other men.
The community, it
The
has a
whole
flow-on
community.
effect, yeah. And I've seen that with some of the stuff that we do, which Rob's probably going to get into, the bulk breaks, is that those men go home to their communities, to their families, and they're different. And yeah, it has that ripple effect. And that's a big byproduct of those getaways that I've seen. I knew there'd be some, but it's much bigger than I expected.
All that I was going to segue into bulk breaks after you sort of mentioned about, spaces for men and you just holding that men's space, because bulk breaks is one of your programs that sort of I've been lucky enough to be invited to help you facilitate. And on that, we won't talk about what happens on that because
it's Fight Club.
What happens at bulk breaks stays at bulk breaks.
Yeah.
But there's certain things that we do that's your program. You stay out of that and you just let us boys run that.
Yeah. I
Because,
want that to be a safe male space.
Like you understand that you're just like, no, I'm just going to sit back and you blokes go do that.
Yeah.
And like, that's fucking awesome.
I think it's important that I'm involved in a lot of it, but there are certain things that we do in that program that I think it's important to be a bloke space. And so I don't even go in the room. And that's, to me, that makes sense. And I actually have some of the blokes going, oh, why didn't you come in? No, you just do bloke shit in there. So it's, it is pretty cool to see that ripple effect go on. And I don't know, I don't understand why people find men so difficult to understand. Rob's going, oh, here we go.
I don't know. Well, it'd be the same as, I don't know, like you can find sort of, I guess, either sex. Yeah, I said either. There's two. You can find either gender difficult at different times, but I guess the men that we deal with, like, the blokes, pretty fucking simple.
I don't think they're hard. And like all through my career, just, before the Are You Bogged Mate thing, I've spent my life working with men. And I actually prefer to work with men. You know where you stand. If they think you're a fuckwit, they will tell you that. There's none of this snippy, snide shit. I don't work like that. It's like, if I'm doing something wrong, then tell me. Don't go and whinge about it and bitch about it to other people. Just tell me. That's not how you fucking do it. This is how you do it. Yep. Excellent. Good. So, yeah, I have worked in male-dominated professions my whole life, and I don't know. I'm a big people watcher too. I do a lot of observing and watching, and you've seen that at Bog Breaks. I'll sit back and I'll watch how you guys are going and how you are interacting with the men, but particularly those guys that are there, and you see the changes over that as well. So it's I'm a big people watcher, and I haven't studied blokes or studied psychology or anything like that, but I think I've got a reasonable handle on how they operate. Probably too good.
Yeah, you've been around them.
Yeah, not my first rodeo.
The main thing, one of the girls we work with, a country girl, and when we talk about this, she talks about she feels like some of these women haven't been surrounded by good blokes. And the country blokes, they're pretty upfront. You know where you stand, as you said. You know, you've been in situations, maybe in a pub, where you've seen them stand up for you or do whatever they might do. And you genuinely have seen the good side of blokes.
Yeah.
Where that's what she thinks some of these other women are missing. And maybe that's because they're in the metro areas and the guys are a bit different in there.
They are.
Talk about that in a bit.
They are different, but I also see a lot of women who just want to blame men for their problems instead of facing them and owning their shit.
And if men do that,
I think we blokes talk about this accountability, and
Yeah.
I think we all it's important for everyone. It's not just women, but yeah, I do see some of that it's like it's all his fault, or you know the relationship breaks down, or it's all his fault and he's the arsehole. Well, hang on a minute. I had this question the other day about arguing with kids, and I said, you know, how do you stop your kids arguing with you? And I said, well, in my experience, there's only one way you can have an argument, and that's two people involved. So,
Well, I think we had that chat in the ute, actually, didn't we?
yeah.
Whilst we're sort of still around the Bogged Breaks topic, I know we can't talk about what happens there, but we can talk about, I guess, your experience of obviously dealing with the facilitators, seeing, you know, these blokes come in on, you know, the start, and then how they are at the end.
Yeah.
And I guess the physical change of what you see happen to these blokes, because a lot of them are there
It is
because
physical.
of, I guess, the mental side of it.
Yeah, it's look, it was an idea that I had from the beginning to set something like this up and to create that safe male space where blokes could come and empty that bucket of shit, I guess, and do it in a healthy way, but also go away with some tools. So not have this days of lecture, but have some fun, have some talks or whatever, and get those tools. And it was rolling around in my head for a long time, and people were saying, this isn't going to work. You cannot take 20 blokes from all different walks of life, and they are from all different walks of life, and put them together for 4 days and expect this to go well. It's going to be a shit show. And I said, well, I reckon it will work. And if it doesn't, it'll be my shit show, not yours, so don't worry about it. And the first one worked better than I anticipated even. And so that was in 2023. We ran one as basically, I call them my crash test dummies, and it worked. And so we did 2 of them last year, and we're doing 2 this year. But to see those men come in there with the variety of shit in their bucket, some very serious and some just lots of bits of shit that adds up over time, but to see that physical change, and I guess it's almost like empowerment. And I think one of the older guys who came to our first Bog Break said to me at the end on the Monday when he was leaving, he said, thank you. He said, I don't even know how to explain this, but it almost feels like I've had a spiritual experience, which was pretty cool because there's nothing religious in it, obviously, but it just hits that hard with them. It hits that, you know, and over the weekend you get to see some of them get it in the first half day, some it's like that afternoon, the next days, but by the Sunday night, it's hit all of them and they all just go, wow, what have we just been involved in? Like, and that's the way I've designed the program, is to slowly break down those brick walls, because a lot of them come with that big brick wall built up. And I think they're pretty brave for coming when we don't tell them what they're going to be doing. But as I've explained to these guys, if I told you some of the things we do, you wouldn't come. If I told you some of the things that we do, I would get so many applications from blokes all over the country but for all the wrong reasons. So I think the guys that apply are brave, but they're also looking for something. They're looking for something different, something that's out of the ordinary, because that they want to see, they want to change. They want, something in their world to change. So it is cool to see those sad eyes and sunken shoulders and head forward come in on that Thursday afternoon, and by Friday afternoon you'll see a smile and the head's lifted, and by Saturday there's laughing, and it's a physical change. You can see it, and it's pretty cool to watch.
Yeah, Rob came back from the first time he facilitated with you, and he's like, "Holy shit! Like that was fucking cool."
Yeah,
so it's like nothing else that you'll
Yeah.
ever experience. It's fucking wild.
I got to ask you, why did you get him on board?
So I have facilitators that come and help me. Obviously, I can't wrangle 20 blokes by myself because there's a lot of, moving parts in this machine. So I have handpicked some pretty cool men to come and help me, and they get to wear, we call them the red shirts. They get to wear a red shirt for the weekend. And I met Rob and yourself down in Canberra, and I think it was about 4 minutes in, I was like, I need that man. I need that man because of his ability to communicate with these blokes, his ability to what I call sit into the silence. So it's not probing these blokes to get their story out or anything, and there's no requirement for them to do that, but it's the ability to be able to create that space to let them feel it if they want to, and to be able to read people. I could just tell. So I've got these variety guys that I swap in and out for the facilitator role, because it's a big weekend. It's a lot. And so I don't want to burn them out. So I rotate them through it. So Rob did one of the ones last year, and he's just done the one that we finished last weekend. But it's, I think the blokes who wear the red shirts are pretty damn special. And they all have different qualities, and they're all quite different blokes, because I can't have this uniform thing, because not everyone's going to connect with Rob. Not everyone's going to connect with the other facilitators. But if I have, I guess, some variety in the facilitators, there'll be blokes that really gravitate to Rob and want to sit with him and talk with him. There'll be other blokes who'll gravitate to the other blokes. So having that, I guess, variety, but I think all of the commonality between the facilitators I see is the depth, that they have the depth and the ability to, joke around with the boys, have that banter and that fun stuff. But they can also see, look, this bloke probably wants to have a bit of a, offload, and they can sit into that when they need to. So, yeah.
I think that's the most important part. It's having that ability to sort of like, have the bullshit and banter and all that sort of stuff, because that helps break down those walls.
Yep.
And then once you build that connection and you're building the relatability with the boys, they go, oh, yeah, by the way, this. Or they might not even say, by the way, this. You'll be having a laugh and talking shit, and
they'll say some cue.
Bang, and you go,
tell me about
the fuck was that? Like, what do you mean by that?
Mm.
And then everything will roll out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you've nailed sort of like us boys that go there, because like you said, we are so different.
Yeah, very different.
Like when we all get together, like just like us boys in the red shirts, we are all so close, because there's that one common bond of us just, we just want to help the boys, and yeah, it just works.
Yeah, I'm pretty proud of the way you guys come together as completely different people, different walks of life, and just come into that red shirt, just put on that red shirt on a Thursday and she's on. And
tell you what, fuck, it's uncomfortable sometimes though. You got all these boys from out bush, and there's just me in a fucking townie rocking around in
they're not
right in a shirt.
Well, that's the other thing. They're not all bush guys, because we do get a lot of they're not necessarily, they may live in metropolitan areas, but maybe they
work rural,
drive trucks, or they're FIFO or something like that. So we've had quite a few messages from blokes saying, I don't really live in the country, but I really think I should go to this Bulk Breaks. And my answer is, if you think you should go, then apply. That's the important thing, is that we can't take everybody, but we're not going to discount someone based on where they live.
Yeah. That's an interesting point, because you're I guess, focus, what you say is country and rural.
Yeah.
Where our focus is blokes.
Blokes.
And, that's a term, but what that really means is kind of the transport, the mining, the tradies, the construction. We don't tie it to the location of where they live, but whether they're in Brisbane or Sydney or Melbourne, they share a lot of those attributes.
They do.
Of the country boys.
They're all blokes.
Yeah.
And I think that's the, look, there is definitely a little bit of difference, but I think that demographic that you're dealing with is very similar to the country blokes. So I don't see a lot of difference in that. And the bottom line is, somebody needs help. I don't give a fuck where they live. That's it. And there's been blokes in Brisbane and that I've sat up till 1:30 in the morning texting with and talking to on the phone to bring them down from a ledge, because I don't care where they live. If they've messaged us and they want help, then that's what they're going to get. So,
in that situation where, because obviously you speak to a lot of blokes, and I guess it'd be the same with us. We're all in the same space. We're all talking to blokes and dealing with some heavy shit and hearing some heavy stories. I know you and I are very similar, but what do you do, I guess, to unload your bucket?
Fortunately, driving is one of them. So not on that fucking M1. What a nightmare that is. I don't think I'd go postal if I had to drive through that every day.
That's why you stay out west.
Yeah. Driving. So long, straight, flat roads. The best thing I can do for myself is drive from Dalby to Broken Hill. Just long, straight, flat roads, big skies is really good for me. Gardening. Don't come and look at my garden at the moment. It's overrun with clover and weeds because there's been nothing done there for a while. But that is really one of the things that empties my bucket, that I can just go out in the garden, leave the phone inside. I do a lot of thinking. While I'm driving as well. But yeah, they're probably the two main things, I think. When I get, I guess, a big load on me, it will be writing. So I'll write poetry. So maybe every 2 or 3 years I might write a half-decent poem. But writing it down. And it's not necessarily about whatever it is. It's a really emotional poem. My sister, if I ring her up and say, hey, I've written a poem, can you listen to it? She's like, oh, shit, let me get the tissues. I don't write funny shit. It's heavy stuff. Yeah. It makes the blokes tear up. And I'll read a couple of them I read one of them at all the talks I do. And yeah, you get some of those big tough old blokes and they're wiping the tears. And when I go, yeah, bloody dust is bad out here, isn't it? So, yeah. That'd be the main things. But, yeah, writing's a good one.
Yeah, I think your poetry that you sort of, I don't know, because I know you read two of them. You read one at the beginning and one at the end.
Yeah.
And they both just hit so hard with, I guess your words just resonate, but it's also your delivery. I remember when we first met down in Canberra, and I've never gotten up and spoken in front of Parliament House before.
Me neither.
And yeah, but then I get up and I was real worried because I'm like, fuck, I'm following Bettina, this big figure in the men's space. And then I followed you and I was like, oh, fuck. Get up and just real jittery and shit talking. I was like, how the fuck am I going to follow Eric?
I was nervous too. Shane Webke always says that to me every time we go somewhere, because he's, the celebrity thing. And so he speaks after me. I do my talk and then he does his. I've done quite a few events with Web and he's like, oh, fuck, I've got to talk after you again.
It's such a hard delivery after you. You just commend a crowd and just you command their attention.
Well, your speech didn't even rhyme.
My speech?
It wasn't even a poem.
It wasn't a poem.
No poem.
Lift your game. Yeah. Be better.
Hey, and we're out.
Thanks,
I
Alan.
only say that at the end, Mary, okay?
Oh, I say it all the time.
All right.
Be better. But it is, I don't know, when I first had to do public speaking years and years ago, I was just pathetic. I was nervous. I'd be shaking, sweating. It was just horrible. And people say to me now, how are you so good at public speaking? I don't think I am. I said, well, the difference is I've fucking got something to say now. And if there is someone talking in that room, then I'm not doing my job. And so, and I don't even notice it now, but people come up to me and say, there were 450 people in that room and there was not a clink of a glass. I had 200 blokes down in Victoria at a boozy lunch. It was a Blokes lunch, and they're all half cut. They went outside and told the kitchen ladies to be quiet because there's a woman speaking and we want to hear her. There was not a sound, and they're all half pissed in the room. And it was like 200 blokes, dead silent. And there was a lot of them came up to me afterwards and said, "We thought this was going to be a fucking joke. You're the first female we've had here as a speaker, and we got 200 half-cut blokes. We thought she's never going to hold this room together." I said, "Challenge accepted." But yeah, if there's people distracted or not listening, then I know I have to lift my game. I have to do something to get their attention.
Yeah. Is it much easier to talk well when you have that conviction behind it?
I think it is, yeah.
And
definitely.
the material now.
I know the material, but I've got something that I believe is important to say, and that's what, I've had a few people come to me and say, "How do I get better at public speaking?" I said, when you have something that is fucking important or that you believe in that you need to say, then you will say it.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. It's the belief in what you're saying.
And because some of the events I do, they're like, "Oh, we haven't got a PA." I'm like, "That's all right. I will put on my sheepyard voice because I will project it and I will push it." So 100 people in the room, no mic. I'm okay. I got a big voice, or I will make it big for that. But yeah,
one of the I guess things. So I think we spoke about this. It would have been that first weekend we met. Was the way that men communicate, and I guess I think we've spoken about it on this pod before, like this speaking shoulder to shoulder.
Yeah.
Is that something that you try and, I guess, adopt when you're speaking to blokes?
Very much.
You're not a bloke yourself?
Very much. It's probably it's probably how I communicate. So if someone wants to sit me down, look me in the eyes and ask me how I'm feeling, I'm fucking gone. I'm out. I'm just disappear. And I notice it all the time at my talks that as soon as I've finished, there'll be a bloke come up and, look you in the eye, shake your hand, go, "G'day, my name's Bob." And he will immediately turn side on to me, look down at the ground or out in the distance. "Yeah, I was bogged once," and he will start to tell his story, and I will make that very conscious effort to stay in that position that he's put himself. So if he turns side on to me, I will stay side on to him. It's abundantly clear to me that that's how they communicate. And so, yeah, I tend to communicate like that, I guess, as well, but I'm very conscious of it. It's a big thing for me, that shoulder to shoulder, because it is one of the most distinct things for men, that staring men in the eye is a threat. And, in my presentation, I say, "See how many brave men we have in this room. Who's ever heard this? You're not listening to me, you're not looking at me." And there's all these blokes go. But that's because the women need that eye contact, whereas the men don't. The men don't need eye contact. And we still, throughout millennia, that's been the thing, that men are shoulder to shoulder, women communicate face to face. Men form teams better than women. Women form closer personal relationships, with one-on-one, but men will form teams better. And there's been a lot of work and a lot of studies done on very successful sporting teams, men and women's, and the women within those teams still don't feel like, everyone on the team likes them. There's still that little bit of bitchiness going on, whereas the blokes don't care. It's like, if we're all wearing the same jersey, we're in. And it's, so there's that evolutionary psychology stuff I find absolutely fascinating. Lots of research and studies done on preschool kids as well, and how the boys are like, "Right, we're all off to fight the baddies," and the girls are there looking after the little doll, and "You're going to be the doctor and you're going to be the nurse and I'm going to cook the dinner." And that's not pushing women or men into those, stereotypical roles. It's their inbuilt natural instinct to do that. And I find that super fascinating. And I think modern society just wants to beat that out of men. And I think that is one of the best fucking qualities about men, that they are born to be protectors and providers. Why do we want to change them? So I think the world is so busy trying to change men rather than work with them. Why don't you just try a different fucking approach that's actually going to connect with them, rather than trying to beat them into submission or change them into something that you want them or you think they should be? And I think for me, that's where the whole psychology thing with this one size fits all is they're not really developing something that works for blokes. They want to still take the men out of their comfort zone and do that. Stare them in the eye, ask them how they're feeling, and, that's going to work for some blokes. But it's clearly not working for a bloody lot of them. So I think we need to adapt, need to change, particularly in that space.
A gendered approach to healthcare is appropriate. That's what we just
Of course.
always say. And you see that time and time again through everything else.
Yep.
But the minute it comes to mental health, there's a little bit of pushback. The natural roles of men and women are an interesting one because I feel like we are in this weird spot where there's a bit of confusion about what equality is. If you look over into Scandinavia, they've gone the furthest out of any country for total equality.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the free uni, do whatever you want. Men and women, 100% equal. They gave everyone free choice to do whatever they want. And the differences actually became greater. So there was more females going into the nursing and the teaching, and there was more male engineers and blah, blah, blah.
Exactly.
When choice was given freely.
That's their
They
natural.
thought they were going to close the gap. The
No.
gap got bigger. So it's an interesting take.
I think
it's
it's
not what people expected.
It's that natural primal instinct. And I think, you can try and beat that out of people and you can try and tell, girls that they need to be engineers rather than nurses. And there are some wonderful, female engineers, but that's not saying they can't do it, but their natural tendency is more to that, traditional sort of stuff. And
Yeah, do what you want.
Oh,
we
I
have
get-
seen there's more female doctors now, which is cool because that is like a big high paying one.
I think they're called nurses.
Fuck you, mate. Woo! There is more female doctors,
Yeah.
which is good because that is like a breakdown of some of the, I guess, what's the word, prejudices
Yeah.
that was keeping them out of the high level stuff when they are focused on doing care.
yeah,
So stuff like that has been better, and now there is more doing that than the males, which is awesome. But don't try and force people
don't try
into
and force people.
take the barriers away. Let them do what they want.
Well, exactly. And I think we certainly see that with, scholarships for uni and stuff like that. There's no scholarships for boys to do engineering, but there's all these ones for girls. It's like, you know what? There's some boys who really, really would be super good at this but can't afford to do it, and they would benefit from that scholarship. Why don't you just let them apply too? Like, let others apply. But it was trying to change that, boys do engineering and girls do nursing thing. And I have been accused all the time of trying to drag women back to the 1950s. It's like, I actually have a very non-feminine role. I'm a specialist in spray application technology and drift management for broadacre farming. To the best of my knowledge, I am the only woman in the world with that skill set. I have travelled to Canada and the US to train guys over there and talk about that over there. So it's not like I'm not staying home baking the cookies. Pretty handy cook too, by the way. But I'm not doing a typical role, so I'm not trying to stop anyone doing what they want to do. Like you said, remove the barriers, let them choose. But I do get on my soapbox about this. Men don't do this right. Men don't do that right. Men need to open up more. We need to change men. No, we fucking don't. We need to change our approach, I think.
I think you pretty much fucking nailed that.
Hmm.
There's not really much else that you can say other than we just need to change the approach. Don't change the blokes. The blokes won't fuck.
There's nothing wrong with the blokes, and that's what they're demonising the men and saying there's something wrong with them. There's bloody not. It's the way you're approaching it. Or your lack of understanding of them, or your lack of empathy for what men actually go through, which I see a lot. So I don't think there's anything wrong with the men. It's the approach.
What do you think are the biggest misconceptions that general society has about those country blokes you work with?
Oh, I don't know. I guess there's a lot. And whether they are misconceptions or fact, I don't know. But I guess it's changing the approach to work with them. So they are very stoic. They are very keep it inside, stiff upper lip and push through it. So we do see that very strong protector provider thing going on there. But I don't think that's a bad thing. It becomes a bad thing when they don't have an outlet. And I guess what I see is blokes not putting themselves first. They put everybody else first, and that's that protector provider role, putting others before themselves. And if they could just switch that around and put themselves first, then they're better placed to look after the people around them. But they've got to look after themselves because they get so bogged down, they don't have the strength or the energy or the capacity to keep going. So whether they're misconceptions or not, I don't know. I think the rural blokes are probably that bit tougher or more closed, if that's the word, rather than tougher. But it's being able to just crack open that nut a little bit and, release the pressure. Let them know that that's okay. It's okay to get that shit out, but let's get it out in a healthy way before it goes, tits up in a car or whatever. Let's do it in a healthy way.
I think that's the biggest thing. It's getting those blokes to, I guess, they don't necessarily have to put themselves first all the time because you can't get a guy to put himself as priority number one the whole time. Not if he's got a missus, he's got kids, he's got a roof to keep over the head.
But it's knowing when you need to do that.
Yeah. Instead of just turn to the bottle and it's like, I can't cope. I'm just going to sink a bunch of tins and write myself off.
Yep.
And then I'll be all good. It's like, no, you're not all good. You're literally just drowning. It's that you can't feel it for that moment.
Yeah.
You're going to wake up hungover. You're going to have less money in your pocket. And then you're going to be like, oh, fuck.
You'd probably be in the doghouse as well.
Yeah. It's a good chance. But I guess it's just, all about, I guess, appealing to those blokes that do that. Because you go into them going like, hey, let's talk about feelings and emotions.
Fuck.
They're going to tell you, fuck off.
And if you tell a bloke, he's wrong or he's a bad guy or he's toxic, he's also going to tell you, fuck off.
Yeah.
Like, that's not the solution either.
No, it's not. So I guess some of the things that I said, it was, well, what are your coping mechanisms? What do you do for yourself? Oh, I drink 12 tins a night and go to bed. How's that working out for you? I still feel shit. Have you considered trying something else? Like, try drinking just 6 tins a night or just do a week with none and just see if it makes a difference.
That's the biggest thing that we
just
tell
try
people.
Different things, just little things that you can implement or try, because you can't give. There's not a one solution's going to help every bloke, but it's try something. If you know what some of these things are that are causing a few problems in your life, well, just try something. It's that old, keep doing the same thing, you get the same result.
Yeah, do nothing, get nothing.
Yeah, so no one should just go in and overhaul their life overnight and say, right, I'm giving up the booze, I'm giving up the smokes, I'm going to lose weight, I'm going to get
Right, that's it. Burn out pretty fucking quick if you try and do everything at once.
Well, you're going to give up because that's too much. So it's like just little baby steps. Just, I think one of the guys who came to Bulk Breaks, when I caught up with him afterwards, I thought he put it really well because I talk about the shit in your bucket and the stuff that's down the bottom of your bucket that's always going to be there, but maybe you need to work on some of it or repack it. And I asked him, did you at Bulk Breaks get to pick up that shit in your bucket and have a good look at it? And that's, being honest with yourself about and, accountable. What's in there and what is it? And he said, yeah, I did. And he said, there was more in there than I actually realised. He said, but I just made a plan that sort of every month I was just going to pick it up again and have a look at it and go, you know what, fuck it, I can knock that corner off this month. Knock that corner off and work on that. He said, then next month, pick it off and go, oh yeah, I can knock that corner off. So just that little small achievable goals. And that's all he did for that month was just focus on changing one little thing. And he's completely turned his life around. And he is so, stoked with himself, and he should be. Just all of these little tiny steps to make some massive changes.
Yeah, it's practical, real world stuff. So if it's, we know if we do no physical exercise and stuff, right? But if a small practical thing is like maybe 3 or 4 times a week, I'm going to walk the dog actually around the block. That doesn't seem like you go into gym 5 days a week and it doesn't need to be. But it's a thing to take that corner of no exercise off the piece of shit.
It is, and that's, I think, where blokes get overwhelmed. And we've had them come to bulk breaks and go, right, I'm going home, I'm going to give up drinking, I'm going to work more, I'm going to do that. And 3 weeks later, they're on the phone in tears to me saying, my life is shit and I can't do this and I can't. But woo, mate, you just set this bar so fucking high that, an Olympic high jumper's not getting over that. So make it something that you can achieve. And you don't have to go and tell everybody, just set it for yourself. If you want to keep yourself accountable, then maybe do it with a mate. And I think that's a big thing is having somebody else do it with you as well, that can ring you up or, go for that walk with you or say, no, look, we're going to go for a walk instead of having 10 beers or something like that. Just, yeah.
Something you said before about, like chatting with your mates and all that sort of thing. And it's something that we see pretty regularly, especially with the events that we do, where guys can comfortably come up to us and they'll just start spilling all their shit out.
Yep.
But when we ask them, like, have you spoken to anyone about this? Have you spoken to your mates about this? They tend to go, nah. And that's something that I guess you see pretty regularly. And I guess it's something that I think we've both experienced it sort of through bulk breaks as these blokes, I guess, like you said, they are from all different walks of life and they're not from the same town. They don't know each other. But because of that, they can just open the fuck up to each other.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I guess set it up in that intro when they get there is these are blokes who are not in your community, in your pub, in your footy team, whatever. So they don't know your situation. They don't know your financial situation. They don't know your kids, your ex, whatever. So they are safe to talk to. And I think that is a big problem for a lot of blokes is they've got good mates, but they've still got that barrier that they don't want to open up too much and offload that shit because that fear of judgment and people talking, and that shit does happen. So it's, I guess I say to them, if your mates are judging you, they're shit mates, get new ones. And if you need to talk to someone, that's why that person removed from it is often a much better one. Yeah.
I agree that it's easier to talk to people removed, but I also get guys to reframe it, flip the situation with them and their mate. If their mate was going through that shit, would you want them to talk to you?
Exactly.
Why wouldn't you expect the same from him?
Yeah.
And the reframing it helps them, I guess, break down their own barrier and being like, look, I would want him to come to me.
Yeah.
And I do believe he actually does want me to go to him. And then it does make it easier to step forward and talk to that person.
Yeah, I use that a lot too, that reframe, and say, if your son, father, brother was feeling the way you feel, would you want him to come to you? Shit, yeah. Righto. So lean into it, sit into it, create that space for that to happen, I guess, and being aware that and receptive to it that, if someone comes to you and your mate comes to you and says, oh, look, I'm doing it tough and this, none of this, slap them on the back. You'll be right, mate. Fucking harden up.
And don't try and fix it.
You can't
That's
fix
what,
it.
like, as blokes, if someone comes up to you and tells you something, you go, all right, let's do this. No, just sit the fuck back and listen.
Sit into the foxhole.
Yeah, you touched on it with picking him as a facilitator. He's good talking, but he's good at listening.
Yeah.
But he's also very aware of creating that space.
Yeah.
So we see it at Summer Nights. We see it at all these places we go to. The amount of times he's gone walkabout, taken some guy with him.
You can't say that. You're going to get yourself in trouble.
Fuck. I'm sitting next to a black guy. That's fine.
That's all right.
But yeah, creating the space.
Create
is
that
something
space.
he's definitely really good at. And it's underrated when it comes to getting guys to talk.
It is. It's a super important skill is to create that space, and understanding how blokes communicate. And, some of the best chats I've had with blokes, sitting on the back of the ute, he's sitting on that side facing that way. I'm sitting on this side facing that, not even shoulder to shoulder, back to back. He's just looking off in the distance and it just came out. So it's that ability, as Rob said, you want to fix shit? You can't fix this shit, but you can listen, you can help them carry their bucket of shit, and I talk about the foxhole. So in the military, in the middle of no man's land, there's the little foxhole which is just big enough for one soldier to get in. And you get in there and it's wet and it's dark and it's muddy and it's shitty. Men need someone who's going to get in the foxhole with them. They don't necessarily need someone to go and save them from the foxhole, or you can't because that's I guess the shit that they're going through, but it's sit into it with them and go, yeah, it's pretty fucked in here, isn't it? And, right, well, let's just sit here and let's, talk about it or think about it or silence. And it's one of the things I say in my talks to women, that men can sit in silence and still feel better afterwards, still empty their bucket and get the shit out. Two men can sit in a boat and fish all day and say 6 words. They go home and their wife says, what'd you talk about? Nothing. Must have talked about something. No. But they've emptied their bucket because they can sit into the same silence. And I think women struggle with that sit into the silence. They often have to fill the space. So
I think on the sort of like the end of usually what happens when guys do come up and say, I've just spoken to a mate, or I've opened up to a mate, or we try and sort of get them to then tell their mates what they told us. A lot of the time when we follow up with them, they'll just go, yeah, look, I listened to you, I spoke to my mate, and then he told me this whole bunch of shit too.
Yeah.
So because they've done that and they've sort of had the balls to actually come out and tell them their story and, what's affecting them, their mates then go, oh, fuck. So you're just starting this, I guess.
Lead by example.
Yeah, 100%. And like those boys opening up, they're the catalyst for some ridiculously good change.
And that's the examples that I put up about how to start that conversation in my presentation. It's like, you can ask them this, and this, and it's always about the facts. So ask men about the facts. Men talk about facts, women talk about feelings. So ask about the facts. But the third one is lead by example. Do you mind if I have a whinge to you because I'm having some dramas at home or work? Lead by example. When you create that space by leading by example and saying, yeah, things are shit, this is happening, that's happening, then your mate is more likely to go, yeah, right. I've actually had this going on and haven't talked to you about it, but this is what's been going on. So it's lead by example. The other thing, and particularly I say to women who often see these dramas in men first, they're like, oh, my brother or my partner or whatever. Women want to go in and be the one for that bloke to open up to. And I say to women and blokes, step back. Because even though you identify the problem first, you may not be the person that person will open up to. And for women in particular, it's not, and especially if it's their partner, it doesn't mean he doesn't love you. This is about that protector and provider thing kicking in, because I have that many men who say to me, no, I'm not going to talk to my wife because, I'm lying awake at 2:00 in the morning worrying about this shit. I don't want her to be. So it's about that protector or provider, not about not loving them enough or caring about them or being honest with them. So step back, send him fishing with his mates or another mate or something that there might be somebody else that is better suited for him to open up to. And I've had 2 brothers once, and one brother was just could see that his brother had issues, and he came to me and he said, I keep asking him, talk to me. And I said, step back. Who is somebody else around him, another mate, another family member that he might be more likely to open up to rather than you just stepping in there all the time going, come on, mate, talk to me. Just woo, step back and have a look around you and say, okay, he's not opening up to me. I've tried. Tag, you're it. Send somebody else in to sit into that space with them. And I think that's a super important thing, particularly for women, because I can tell that he's upset and, worried, but he won't talk to me. So just step back and find somebody else to step in.
Or change the environment too. A lot of the time blokes will talk where they're comfortable, so their happy place.
In a vehicle.
That's why we go to summer nights. That's why, I guess, talking at the beach, talking at the barbecues, it's...
Around a fire.
Yeah, the fire's a perfect example.
Fire is absolutely critical. It's a primal thing that men need to sit around a bloody fire. And so if men are not sitting around fires, I suggest that they strongly start doing so. Make some time to sit around a fire.
Light the fire safely. Don't just start burning shit.
Don't just burn shit.
Yeah, it's full disclaimer there.
But that's why, like the fire is so important for bog breaks. And that was my one criteria when I was setting this up. I want a fire pit and a big fire pit. But it was the centre thing that I wanted. I know the benefits. There's documented medical evidence to the benefits of men sitting around a fire. Men just don't do that enough anymore.
It's primal shit.
I mean, it's primal shit. You look at the benefits of men around a barbecue and they can't even see the fucking fire. Imagine when you put that fire and they just, it has an incredible effect on any humans, but particularly on men. Something that men need to do, sit around fires. But yeah, don't set fire to shit. Just don't burn stuff randomly. But
I think that's a pretty good thing to wrap up on then. Just don't burn shit. Have chats. That's as simple as that.
Yeah. Thanks so much for coming on. Is there anything coming up in either the bog break scene or the other stuff that you do that you want to talk about?
I'm just driving around the country still. We're booked out way in advance. I don't know. We've got so much on. We've got events all around the country that people just contact us and book those in through our website. Keeps Jenny busy. And we sell a bit of merch on our website as well. But the Bog Breaks program, I guess that's an important thing, that we have those applications open all year. So people can go onto our website to the Bog Breaks page and see the video from what the guys from the first one said. And yeah, we keep the applications open all year. We used to have like an 8-10 week period for applications, but the reality is that there's times throughout the year that blokes are looking for something and they find it. We've already got a couple of applications for next year. So,
well, we're going to put the link to your website in the description. So jump over there. You can find out about the applications for Bog Break, all the upcoming events. So if they want to hear you spill out a poem, they can find you somewhere in the countryside. And other than that, we'll have to catch you for another episode at some point.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me, boys. Honoured to be here.
Do you want to round us out, Mary?
Be better.
Straight down the barrel.
Be better.
Thanks for tuning in. If you got anything out of this, be sure to show some love on whatever it is that you're listening on and follow us across all our socials.
If you want to know more, head to betterblokeproject.org, where you can learn about the programs we deliver, find out about upcoming events, and donate to the cause of building better blokes.